Hey guys, today you get a video because I'm working on some big things for No Sugar No Cream. Actually, it's an Enjoy Your Vagina anthology. So I'm talking to a lot of black women about sexuality and pleasure and advocating for the sex that you want, etc., etc. So that's taking a lot of my time. So on the weekends, I'm devoting myself to that too, as well as during the week. So videos are easier and quicker than publishing a full story. So I'll be doing these videos and publishing stories from other women who submitted pieces to No Sugar No Cream. But today I want to talk about this revelation that I had this week. So I've been watching Married at First Sight for work. And I've been recapping the show, just like different things that happen or whatever. But before I get to that, I want to talk about this movie, this romantic comedy that I loved back in the day called My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. And I loved it. I still love it, actually. But what happened was, in the movie, if you've seen it, you know that the father is, head of the household, super macho guy type of feeling. And he basically starts acting like a tyrant at one point because his daughter wants to go to school. And he doesn't want her to go to school. And, she's very upset about this, but her mother comes to her and offers her some encouragement. And she says, your father is the head, but I'm the neck. And whichever way the neck turns, that's what the head does. And if you've grown up in like black church tradition, black or Christian tradition, you know that submission is like a big thing in the church, and especially solely for women. And it's kind of like the church is obsessed with wives submitting to their husbands. It's obsessed. So much so that it came up during Married at First Sight. So, and this ties in My Big Fat Greek Wedding to Married at First Sight. Now, when I first saw that line about the head and the neck in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, I thought, okay, this seems like progress, because with submission, it's kind of just like you do what your husband says, no ifs, ands, buts. You don't question it. It is what it is. He's the man. That's it. That gives him the authority and the power. But, hearing that you're the neck and you control the head, I was like, okay, that seems like something. But the older I got and the more I watched the movie, because I do love it, I was just like, something doesn't all the way feel right with it. And I wasn't able to determine what exactly that was. But watching Married at First Sight this past week, that line came up again. And it was one of the brides. Now, if you don't know Married at First Sight, literally they marry a stranger. So these are not like traditional Western marriages. So they marry a stranger, but they end up having these very traditional conversations about the expectations that they have for these people in the marriages. And so one of the mother-in-laws, so this woman marries a man, and these are black people, Aunt Karen, and Miles's mother says to her, like, what do you think about submission? And Karen says, I actually prefer that. I want my husband to be the head of the household. Then she said, and then the mother was like, but you're the neck. And I don't know why, hearing it from them, and even hearing her like question the stranger about submitting to a man she doesn't know, really made it click for me. I was like, the neck is just not enough. You know what I mean? Like, when you think about the neck, it really doesn't do anything aside from turn the head. So the head on its own, it sees, it hears, it smells, it talks, it reasons. But the neck really only serves to move the head and to connect everything from the head to the rest of the body. So is that what we're saying about women? Like, your only role and your only function is to serve as a connector. You don't think, you don't reason, you have no vision, nothing, except for the neck, except for just to transmit a message from the neck to the body or whatever. Just really just a series of muscles. I don't know. And I was just like, that's what's so problematic about it. The neck is not enough. The neck doesn't speak to enough of the power that women can have and should have in their relationships. And I was like, we really need to come up with like new language to talk about. If you want to submit, that's fine. But there needs to be some type of language that doesn't take away women's power and agency in the way that a neck to a head does. It's just not enough. And I'm like, I don't know why we can't be two heads coming together to come up with a compromise, to come up with a new vision, to come up with a way we're going to execute these things. And you are the male head and I'm the female head, or whatever, however you want to see that. But there should not be, I don't think, an instance in marriage and partnership where two people are not using their collective intelligence and reasoning to get something done and accomplished. And I was like, boom, that's it. So I was so happy that I was able to finally figure out why that line didn't sit well with me and why it felt like something but not enough. And now that I'm older, married, understand that submission, we don't really talk about it in its fullness. I understand why that line bothered me so much and why it really is still problematic. Being the neck is just not enough.